In the summer of last year, I shared my scalping robot. And then there were a lot of requests if I could add additional features to the EA to make it more suitable for Propfirm. So 2 weeks ago, I shared a video which includes those additional features that make it more suitable for Propfirm challenges, including a panel so you can track all of the stats in one go in one place, and all the codes shared in the videos and fully explained in details. Now there are a lot of requests if the same scalping EA written in MetaTrader 5 language can be converted into MetaTrader 4. So here we go. In this video, we will take the scalping robot script that we wrote from MetaTrader 5 and we will convert it into MetaTrader 4. And this method is universal. So if you follow the video and learn it, you will be able to take any MetaTrader 5 script and convert it into MetaTrader 4 following the same logic. So with no more shenanigans, let's start. Now, I will not go through the full backtesting of the EA because I've already shared the backtesting in several videos that I've made before. But let's take a look at the actual performance of the EA over the last 2 months. I have used this EA in my portfolio over many years, which for NDA reasons I cannot show. But to compare my results with the results that people were sending to me after I released this EA, I created a small account and applied the EA with the setting that I have shared so that when people are sending their results to me, I at least have a comparative base to compare it against. So let's log on to the VPS, and here we have our results for the last 2 months. So if I go currencies by currencies, so starting with Bitcoin, we have made about 7% profit. We've had a few TPs hit because when Bitcoin moves fast, it moves really fast. If I go to EURUSD, a similar story. We had one loss in the beginning, and since then the EA has been performing quite decent. There are a couple of TP hits, this one and this one very close probably as well. And we have about 9% profit on EURUSD. So EURUSD has also been performing really well. Then go to gold. So far we have not had any loss. One TP hit. The rest are aggressive trailing of the stop losses. So small profits, overall amounting to about 8% profit as well. Then going to GBPUSD. This one has had 2 different losses and one near TP hit, and altogether about 1.6% of profit. Then we look at US Tech, and this one has had 2 different losses, and it's slightly negative but very close to break even, depending on, it's not too many trades so far. And then to USDJPY, which is around 6% in profit, 1 stop loss hit, versus all of these are aggressive trailing of the stop losses, so resulting in either small profits or a very small loss because of slippage probably. Altogether 32% profit in the last 2 months. If we look at the report, we can see the EA has made about 3,000 euros in profit and have lost about half of it. Looking at the symbol, EURUSD has been doing the best, followed by gold, Bitcoin, and USDJPY. Now, the last time when I shared the result, Bitcoin was doing amazingly well and was here. So probably Bitcoin has taken Bitcoin has taken a loss and came down here. If we look at month by month, we started in the middle of December, but I shut off the EA during the Christmas period and over the New Year. So nothing major in December. January, we had about 1,000 euros, so 20% profit approximately. And this month in February, in the first 22 days, we're about 8% in profit. Now, coming back to the settings, I'll not go through them in very much detail, but it's 3% with 100 bars N. This for the Forex profile and this for the crypto profile, gold profile, and US indices. News filter is true, avoiding these news for USD currency only. RSI filter is on. I'm not using the moving average filter currently. And the last thing that I want to say is, up until now, I had been uploading my code files into the store as well. I've seen way too many times my codes appearing on Telegram channel where people are trying to sell it for 5 times the price, 10 times the price. I don't have any problem with people selling my code under their name, but then at least put an effort and take an evening or 2 to actually sit down and actually follow the video and code it for yourself before you start to call it your own and try to sell it. So going forward, I will be uploading the working EAEX file. So the people who do not either have time to sit down and code for themselves, or do not have understanding enough, or they just want to use the EA and not want to learn the algorithm behind it, they can still download it. But I'm not putting up my code files for people to download and try and sell it. And of course, I will still share all of the codes in the videos. So if anybody wants to actually take the time to learn, all of the codes with full details will still be available for free. So if you're one of those people, fill up a flask with coffee, get something to eat, sit down, and let's start coding. We start in the MetaTrader 4 terminal, and I'll start by going to the MetaCourse language editor, which is here. If you click on that, this screen should open up for you. So this is a blank screen. Now I've already created a folder, YouTube shared, where I'm going to create these files. So within MetaTrader 4, we're going to create a new EA, and it's an expert advisor. And I'm going to call this regular scalping EA. And then if I press next and finish, we get this opening template. Now we have all these codes from the time that we wrote the scalping robot, including the gold, Bitcoin, and US indices with news filter, RSI filter, and MA. So I'm basically talking about this video here. So we're going to start from that. So this is the MQ5 file, which is valid for MetaTrader 5. I'm just simply going to copy everything and go to MetaEditor 4, select everything, delete, and paste everything from MQ5 file. So our starting point for the conversion is starting from an MQ5 written code, and then we're only going to make the changes required to convert it into MT4. So even though today we're converting the scalping robot from MT5 to MT4, but you can follow the same process to convert any MetaTrader 5 file into a MetaTrader 4. Now the first thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of this, the reference to the trade.mqh file, and within that we had the C trade, C position info, and C order info, because MetaTrader 4 does not work like that. So I'm going to delete all of that. And now if I compile, I should get a lot of errors. So I'll go up to the top and I'll start from what are the issues, and I'm going to continue to solve them until the time that we have our EA perfectly running. So I'll start with the first one, which is the group declaration is without type, which is basically this. And to remove this, you basically define a property which is strict. So if you define that property, then all of this messages should be gone. So if I compile again and go up, now I don't have those errors by the name group. So that one is taken care of. Then the next one I see is that this identifier has already been defined, which is I am defining the start hour and end hour separately, and then assigning it to start hour SH input and EH input, even though the number of hours are practically the same, so I can combine it together. And this is what I'm getting here as well, that this has already been defined _100 to _100. One way you can resolve this is by putting an underscore after instead of before. But what we're going to do is we don't need two different enums. We're happy with just one. So I'm going to delete this one, and I'm just going to call this one enum hour. And then if this is enum hour, then I'm assigning enum hour to these two variables. And this should now take care of all of these error messages. So if I compile, I have 94 errors remaining. So I go up, but all of those are gone now. Now the next one is that the trade is an undeclared identifier, and that is because we deleted the reference to the trade.mqh file. So this we're going to correct later. Next I go to set expert magic number. That function doesn't work because we don't have the trade variable anymore. So I'm just going to delete this, and we're going to assign the magic number to the trade when we're opening or closing the trade manually. But this is all fine. I don't need the SH choice equals SH input. So I'm going to remove them. And because I don't need them, so I'm going to go up here, and I'm also going to remove the variable definitions. I'm changing the bars end to 100 because that's what I'm currently using. Now if I compile again, I still have 94 errors. Let's go up to the top. And now I see that IRSI, wrong parameter. MQ5 deals with indicators through handles, and those are defined in the onIt function, but MT4 does not do it that way. I can't use these anymore, but I can still copy paste this formula, and I'll go down where the RSI filter function is. In here, instead of using the copy buffer method, which is particular to MT5, and I can't use this in MT4, I'm gonna just simply define RSI as IRSI, which is by providing the symbol value, RSI time frame. Everything else remains exactly the same. The only thing is here, it asks for a shift in MT4 as well. So I need to put a shift. I can give it the last candle, or I can give it the current candle. I'm going to give it the current candle. And then I'm going to remove this double colon. And then because now I'm calling this RSI, either I can change the name to RSI now, because here we're checking RSI now is above RSI level up and RSI now. I'm going to change the name of the variable from RSI to RSI now. The rest of the function remains okay to me, so I can go back up. And then the second one was the IMA, and we cannot use it through a handle method because that is particular to MT5. So I'm going to copy this formula and then I'm going to delete both of these because I don't need them. And then I go down to MA function, is MA filter, and here again I cannot use these MT5 functions, so I'm just going to remove them, and I'm going to call this variable as moving average now, because that is the variable that we're going to be testing here. And I can assign it the value by pasting now the formula that we copied from above, providing the symbol, the time frame, everything else remains the same. The only thing I now need to provide additionally is the integer shift. Like, which candle are we copying? Are we copying the current candle or the previous candle, or I'm just going to copy the current candle. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see. Now if I compile, I should have fewer errors. So now I have 91 errors. So let's go up. And now this asset choice, we deleted the asset choice. Before we were assigning the value of the SH input and EH input to asset choice and EH choice, but now we can directly use them. We don't need to assign them. So I'm just going to go here, and instead of asset choice, I'm going to type SH input, and here I'm going to go EH input and EH input. So we're basically directly assigning that if the hours now is less than the SH input, so whatever hour has been selected, then close all the orders. And if the hours now is greater than EH input and it's not 0, meaning it's not inactive, then close all the orders. So then we can only trade during the trading period allowed. If I compile now, these two should also disappear. And now I have 89 errors. I go up, and now these two are also gone. Now I go to ORD issue. And this has to do with the way that MetaTrader 5 loops through all the positions and all the orders is different from MetaTrader 4. In MetaTrader 5, you have orders total and positions total. But in MT4, you only have orders total, and then you have the order type, which is either OP buy or OP sell. So we're going to have to change the way that we loop through these to find the total number of buys and sell which are currently open. I'm going to delete all of this, and I'm going to write the code for MetaTrader 4, where you still have the for function, but now you're only going through the orders total, exactly the same way, which is orders total minus 1. But then you order select by index I, whichever is the I index that is looping through, and then you go select by position, and then you provide more trades. And then you go if it's OP buy or it's OP buy stop. So if it's the open position buy or if it's a pending buy stop order, in both cases, if the order symbol equals symbol and order magic number equals input magic number, in that case, our buy total is buy total plus 1. Otherwise, if the order type is open position sell or it's a sell stop order and the symbol is our symbol and the input magic number is our input magic number, in that case, we say that the sell total is increased by 1. So it's exactly the same thing that we did in MetaTrader 5, but doing it in a different way. And orders in MT4 include open positions as well. Now, if I compile again, now I have 70 errors left. Now, the bulk of the errors I can very simply remove because MetaTrader 4 does not have a built-in calendar. So I'm going to go down to the is upcoming news, and I can either delete the entire function or I can just put a / and then at the end an asterisk /. So MT4 is going to treat all of the codes written here as comments. Thereby, we're basically disabling this entire function of is upcoming news. And if I'm disabling it here, then up here where we were checking for is upcoming news, I'm also going to have to remove that, or I can do the same thing as this and then here as that. So making this portion here as a comment. Now if I compile, now I am only left with 36 errors. So let's go back up to the top. Once again, there is somewhere we're using the trade function, and that trade function cannot be used because we don't really have the reference to the trade.mqh file. It doesn't work in MetaTrader 4. So I'm going to have to write the order send command to send the buy stop in MetaTrader 4. I'm going to write it below first, so that you guys can see what is happening. In MetaTrader 4, we use the order send command instead of using the trade.mqh files C trade class. So we order send by sending the symbol, and this you can check as well. So if you say order send, and this is case sensitive, so if you say order S small, you're not going to get anything. So you have to know, well, you can start writing order, but then you can select by going down to order send. But this is very case sensitive, so it is S as a capital and then SEND. And then when I open the bracket, it asks me for the symbol, which is the symbol. Then it asks me what kind of order am I sending. So I am sending an OP buy stop, because we're sending a buy order, a buy stop order. So I say buy stop, and then I provide the values of lots and entry. And then if there is a slippage factor, but that's useless, so just put 0. And then the stop loss, then the take profit. What is the string that I want to put? I'll say Mr. Capfree. Then input magic number, which is the input magic number that we're sending. And this is where it's also different between MetaTrader 5 and MetaTrader 4. In MetaTrader 5, you already in initialization assign a magic number to the trade class by saying trade.setMagicNumber. But here you have to send it with the order. I'm sending the magic number as the variable input magic number, and then what is the expiration, and then what color arrow to put on the chart. So I'm going to delete this, and now we can delete the old MT5 function. And the reason I'm doing this if is because if you remove this, then you're going to get a warning that the order send should be checked. The return value of order send should be checked. So you should check whether or not it has been successful. And this is why I'm saying that if it is successful, that if order send happens, then just return, meaning exit this function. So this is how I'm checking. Now when I'm changing the buy function, then I also need to change the sell function, because here again this is using the trade.mqh file, the trade class. So I'm going to write the function as it is written in MetaTrader 4, which is order send, providing the symbol, and now it is a sell stop type. Again, entry, lots, SLTP, let's call it Mr. Capfree, input magic number, expiration, and the green color, and then I'm checking it. And this Mr. Capfree is because I'm trying to move my channel from No Shenanigan, which is a faceless channel, to a channel where I also show my face, because YouTube has been giving me a lot of issues with the faceless channel No Shenanigan. I will be slowly transitioning, so for a while I will put all of the videos that I put on Mr. Capfree also here in No Shenanigan, but I would suggest to already start using the Mr. Capfree channel, because slowly and gradually I will transition everything there. Okay, I can remove this because this is MT5 related, and let's check here as well on the top. Now in MetaTrader 5 you get the ask value by using the symbol info double and asking for the symbol ask value. In MetaTrader 5, ask and bid prices are automatically given, so I can remove that and just change this to capital ask, and now you can see that it changed to pink, which basically means that it is an assigned MetaTrader 4 variable, which is a predefined variable. So this is the ask. The TP and SL, I don't need to change anything. The double lots, so we start with the whatever is the broker's minimum value. So as a matter of fact, instead of putting a 0.01, I can say get the symbol through simple info double, get the symbol's volume minimum. So whatever is the minimum volume for that, we start with that. And then if the risk percentage is greater than 0, then we use the function calculate lots as in MetaTrader 5. Now I'm going to do the same thing here as well in the cell. We don't need to get the bid value. It comes automatically as a bid variable with a capital B. I don't need to change the TP and SL setting. And again here I'm going to copy paste from here. That let's start as a default with the symbol info double getting the symbol volume minimum. And if you are using the MetaTrader 5 version as well, then you can potentially change that as well, because say for Bitcoin, the minimum value is 0.001 on many brokers. So maybe it's a better idea to start the lot size as default from a 0.01 on Bitcoin and not 0.01 hardcore it. The rest seems fine to me. So let's compile and see how many errors do we have now. And we have 30 errors left. So let's go back up. Once again, there is somewhere we have used the ORD function, which is to get the order information. So here on close all orders, what we were doing was we were going through all of the orders total, which is an MT5 terminology. Now we need to write it in MetaTrader 4 format. So I'll write it above and then I'll delete the one at the bottom. And this is the method for checking the same thing in MetaTrader 4. Orders total in MetaTrader 4 includes both open positions and orders. In MetaTrader 5, they are different, positions total and orders total. So when we are going through the total orders, exactly the way that we are going here, and the selection method is different. It's not OR select by index, it is order select, providing the index value, then select by position and more trade. But now we need to check that it is a buy stop and it's a sell stop bit, because it can also be a position open, and in case the trading period has finished, so it's 9 o'clock in the night and the trading period has finished, we don't want to close the open positions. So this is the additional thing that we add on top of, because here we check for the symbol is our symbol and magic number is our magic number. We're checking this here as well, that the order magic number is input magic number and order symbol is symbol in MetaTrader 4 language. But now we are adding one more condition, which is it needs to be buy stop or sell stop. Because if it is an OP buy, just this, then it's a position which is open, and we don't want to close an open position. We only want to delete the orders which are pending on the server once the trading period is finished. So we check for that as well. Then we get the ticket number exactly the same way as here, but not using the OR ticket, but like I showed before, you start typing order and then you get order ticket. So this is the way it works in MetaTrader 4. So we get that, put it into ticket, and then we use the order delete command by sending the ticket number and giving it a color for the arrow, because you need to give a color for the arrow as well, which you don't need to do for MetaTrader 5. And then again, I'm checking if this was successful. Otherwise, I'm going to get a warning message here that this should be checked. So I'm just checking if it is successful, then just exit the function, return. So I can now delete the MetaTrader 5 part, which is this part. So now this function has been converted into MetaTrader 4 as well. Now if I compile, before I had 30 errors, and now if I compile, I have 23 errors left. So let's go back up, and somewhere we have the same issue with the positions total, because somewhere we were checking for position total, which is in the trailing stop, and positions total does not exist in MetaTrader 4. It's orders total and then sub-selection through OP sell and OP buy as order type. So we will have to change that, but I'm going to come back to the trailing stop later. Let's see if there was something else that we can potentially take care of before. I don't know what this is, and it's coming from here. So somewhere something is wrong here. Yeah, there is an additional closing bracket that I've mistakenly typed here. So I'm going to remove that. And if I compile, now we only have these 20 errors, and these are between line number 350 and line number 367. So they are definitely only related to the trailing stop, because it starts at 350. So the errors start here and they go all the way to 367, which is here. So all of these errors are definitely coming from trailing stop, which then tells me that the rest of the EA has been converted into MetaTrader 4, and now we need to convert the trailing stop. This one is going to take a little bit of care, so follow it properly. Now, once again, we don't need to get the ask and bid value. It comes in MT4 as ask and bid, so I can delete that. Then we know that we don't use the loop as positions total in MetaTrader 4, we use orders total. So I'll start with that by replacing this with this. And I need to have an opening bracket. So instead of positions total, now I'm going orders total. Well, that's the way MetaTrader rolls. Then we cannot select position by using the C-class position from trade.mqh. So now we need to change that as well. And the way to do that in MetaTrader is to say, if order select index I, whatever is the index currently, select by position and more trades. Once that is selected, in MetaTrader 4, you don't really need the ticket number because that's not how MetaTrader rolls. So I delete this. And then if position magic number equals input magic number and position symbol equals symbol, that we will need to change as if order magic number equals input magic number and order symbol equals symbol. Then if position type equals position type by, we need to then change it into MetaTrader 4 language is order type equals OP by. Then if bid is less than position price open, well, this again, position, that function doesn't exist in MetaTrader 4. So we need to get the price open. So order open price is greater than trigger stop loss. So this is fine. Then TP equals order take profit. SL equals bid, and bid is now with that capital, so it's a pink value, so it's the generic MT4 variable. So SL equals this, the rest is fine. If stop loss is bigger than the current stop loss, so again we now need to get order stop loss, and the stop loss is not equal to 0, so that is fine. And in that case, modify the position. And you modify the position in MetaTrader 4, not by referencing to the trade C class, but by sending a direct order saying order modify, sending it the order ticket number, and this is why we didn't have to get it here. Order open price, so you need to send the order ticket number, which is again whatever is the selected order ticket from there, and then the open price. Then the stop loss that we have calculated here. Then you can either write the TP down here, or you can just simply send the order take profit, which is the value that we are assigning here anyways. Then no expiration, and then color none, because we don't want to really assign an arrow every time there is a modification. Otherwise you're going to get too many arrows. And because we are sending the order take profit directly, so we also don't need this TP here. And once again, why I'm checking this if is because if I don't check this if, then I'm going to get a warning down below that the order modifier should be checked. Now it should be checked properly, but I'm happy with just checking it, and if it is okay, then saying continue, like continue, meaning go next to the rest of the code. I'm not saying return, because return will mean exit the function. Continue means continue. The same thing I'm going to have to do here. So instead of position type, I'm going to have to say order type, and instead of position type cell, I'm going to have to say OP cell. When then ask is with a capital, so it's the generic MQL4 variable. This looks fine to me. Now position open, we need to get in MetaTrader differently, so it's order open price. And we're not going to need the TP, so I can delete it. This again is going to be ask. And did we here change? Because this ask is also here as bid, so I need to change this as well to bid. Okay, and then stop loss is order stop loss, and then I'm going to modify the position by using the order modify, and once again sending the order ticket number, order open price, the new SL, because that's the only change which is practically going to change, and then returning back whatever was the original order take profit, keep it, no change to expiry, and then color none, meaning I don't want to see an arrow. And then I'm checking it just so that I don't get a warning, and then I say continue. So this should take care of everything. Okay, I'm missing a few parentheses, so I'm going to put them here. So this parenthesis is fine, and this is this one. So I'm going to line it up with 4. Then this one, I open the parenthesis here, and then it should close all the way down here. So what we can do is we can potentially move this up here and this one back. So this one becomes for 4, and then this one becomes for if. Then here I have an open is fine because it should close here because all of these codes are checked within this. So this is this one. That one is okay. I'm just going to line it up properly so that I don't get confused later. Then this if it is order type buy, then it is correctly ending up here, because then we go if it is order type sell. Then this one is if it is this one, then this is also closing correctly, and this if is this one, and that is fine as well. And then if it is order type sell, then all of these codes, so fine, this should be closing here, and this one is opening here, and then all of these codes, so yeah, this one is closing correctly as well, and then this one is closing here correctly as well. So I think now we have all of the parentheses correctly formed. So if I compile, and I really hope that there are no errors remaining, and voila, we don't have any errors remaining. So now this MetaTrader 5 code has been converted into MetaTrader 4 for the part which we wrote in these 3 first videos. Now that we have finished the basic EA, now let's start looking at the 2 additional modifications I made to the EA in this video, which has 2 parts, 2 additional filters, and then the entire Propfirm modification. So let's first finish the additional features, which were to have different ways of putting the lot sizes, and then we will add the trading is allowed on certain weekdays and not allowed on certain weekdays or over the weekend. So these 2 modifications. Now, so if you have written the MQ5 EA with me, that one is this with the additional features, where we added is trading allowed by day function. So I'll start by copying this function. So I'll copy this function, and I'll go to MetaTrader 4, go down to the bottom, and I'll add this function here. And let's see if we have any errors by compiling. And I think the only errors I'm getting is that these variables are not declared. So I go back to MetaEditor 5 and go back up to the top, and this is where we defined all of these functions for the trading allowed by days section. So I'll copy this, go back to MetaEditor 4, and here at the bottom I'm gonna add this section. So all of these are now variables also defined here. So if I compile now, there are no errors. So basically we have added this function and converted. We didn't have to convert anything for MetaTrader 4 here. Then going back to MetaEditor 5, for the lot sizes, we changed the lot size. We changed the stuff around here where we added another enum for lot type, whether we want fixed lots, percentage of balance, percentage of equity, or percentage of free margin. So I'm going to copy that enum, go to MetaEditor 4, and then up here at the top, I'm going to add this enum. And what we had also done was we moved all the enums in one place. So I'm going to take all of the enums and put them in one place as well. I don't think I have any other enum. Well, the news filter, we're not going to be using the news filter in MetaTrader 4 anyways because it's not available. I mean, there are ways to put news filters as well, but there is no generic calendar in MetaTrader 4, so you can't really use that as a generic function. So these are all the enums. So now that we have enum lot type as well, I go back to MetaTrader 5, and now we need these 3 variables. So I copy them, and then here I will put here these 3 variables, but now I don't need the risk percentage twice. So I'm going to remove one. So now what we're going to have is a drop down button, which is the enum lot type. So you can select whether it's fixed lot, balance, equity, or free margin. And if it is fixed lots, then you have to define here, or the user has to define here, what is the fixed lots. And if it is part of the percentage of balance or equity or free margin, then we're going to use the risk percentage method. So now that we have these trading inputs, we go down to the calculate lots part, because this is where we're going to decide what the lot size is going to be. And there again, as a precaution, we will start with a default value of whatever is the minimum symbol volume which comes from the broker. So we start with that. And because I'm defining the lots variable here, so I cannot redefine it here. So I remove the part double in front of it. And then I will, exactly the same way as we have in MetaTrader 5, I will have these three: the account balance, the equity balance, and the free margin. I think if it is blue, it probably is a default variable anyway, so it will get the value from MetaTrader anyway, but doesn't hurt to get the value as it accounting for double. So account balance, account equity, and account free margin, we get those values in here. And then we say the risk in the beginning is 0 as a default value, and then switch through the lot type, the variable that we created here, this lot type, which is fixed lots as 0, balance as 1, equity as 2, and margin as 3. So switch through them, and if you find that the case is 0, which is the fixed lots, then in that case simply lots is going to be equal to fixed lots, the variable that we are asking the user to provide their input in. And if it is not, and if it is case 1, then it is based on account balance. So then account balance times the risk percent divided by 100. If it is case 2, then it is equity balance, and then if it's case 3, then it's free margin. So we assign the risk based on account balance, equity, or free margin based on what's selected, divided by 100 because it's a percentage, and then we say break, so that if it finds that the case is 0, then assign the fixed lots and just return with the lots, meaning exit the function. You don't need to do anything else. But if it is not 0, then you look for 1, and in that case break. If it's not 1, then it 2, and if you find the 2, then break. Break meaning break this function but go here. And then if it's 3, then break, meaning break the switch function and then come down here. So now the risk has been defined, and the rest of the function is basically the same function as MetaTrader 4. There is no language difference between MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5 here, so this should be okay. If I compile, I'm getting this as I already defined it here, so I cannot redefine it. So I'm just going to remove the word double in front, and now we should be good to go. Now one thing which I forgot to do, and which wasn't caught by MetaTrader in the errors, is because once again MetaTrader only looks for syntax error. It doesn't look for logical errors. So we defined this is trading allowed by day function, and we put all of the variables here, but we didn't use that function anywhere. But MetaTrader is not going to force us to use it, so there are no errors, but there is a logical error. And for that we go to the onTick function, and here where we were checking is RSI filter, is upcoming news filter, is MA filter. Now we also need to check that is trading allowed does not return a true value, and this is why I'm saying not is trading allowed. So as long as the value coming here is false, then run these codes, and if it comes back as true, then don't run these codes. So this is why we're saying not. So only run these codes if is trading allowed returns a false, and that is because if it is allowed on Monday and today is Monday, then return true. And trading is allowed on Monday and today is Monday, so in that case trading is allowed. And this is why we're saying here, if it's not, meaning if it returns a false, then close all the orders, disable the trading and everything else. So if I compile now, I don't have any syntax error, and I hopefully do not have a logical error as well. So this completes our regular version of the scalping EA, including the MA filter, the RSI filter, the different modifications required for Bitcoin, gold, and US indices, and also the new features that I added, which are the lot types, and also defining whether or not trading is allowed on a certain day. And now we can move on to the Propfirm part. So we go back to MetaEditor 5, and now I'm going to open up the Propfirm version that we had written, and also we had written an include file by the name of Propfirm panel. Now this Propfirm panel file is written in a language which is allowed by both MetaTrader 5 and MetaTrader 4. So we don't really need to change anything here except for when we will be referencing where is the file located for our MT4. So I can copy this, go back here, and then I can select new, and this time I'm gonna say I want an include file by the name MQH, and then I can call it Propfirm panel, and then if I finish it, the file is gonna open, but the file is not gonna open here because I have already written this file as include here as Propfirm panel. But the file would open. What you will do is it will open with the default value. You can just simply select the entire thing and delete, and then just paste what you have copied from MetaTrader 5 because it's the same MQH file. You can also copy the file by going to the folder, open the folder. In the include folder, you can copy this Propfirm panel, close, then go to MetaTrader 4, and here also open up the include folder and just paste it here. Or you can create the file and copy paste the stuff. But here we're not going to be changing anything except the reference back to our Meta MT4 file. You look for where this file is saved. So my file is saved in YouTube shared. This is where this EA is currently saved, regular scalping EA. If I open this folder, I can get the value from expert onwards. So I copy this part, come back to MetaTrader 4 in the Propfirm, go up to the top, and I'm going to write it here, but you can see what happens. So you start with include, and then dot dot means whichever folder I am in the include folder. So here is the include folder. Dot dot means go up one folder, so come out of this folder, then go into the experts folder, and within the expert folders go to YouTube shared folder, and then here is the name of my file, and I should have, and this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to close this because I'm going to change the name and put underscores here because MetaTrader for some stupid reason cannot deal with spaces. So now this is the file name with underscore, so I can open it again. So this is my file MetaTrader 4, and then I copy the name of the EA, put it here, and then .mq4, and then close this. So this is where my MetaTrader 4 file is saved, and I'm referencing it here in the MQH folder because when it will come to update these, it will be looking for the beginning of day balance, beginning of week balance. All of these variable values are going to come from the scalping EA. So I need to reference it back by providing this here. Now, one thing which I'm going to do is, because this is the regular scalping EA, which we have written so far, let's compile it again. It is all fine. And now I'm going to save a copy by going to File, Save As, in the same folder. Now I'm going to call it Propfirm _ scalping EA, and I'm going to copy this name as well. So we're creating a copy here, and now our Propfirm panel needs to be linked to the Propfirm version. So I'm keeping these two versions separate from each other. Now if I compile, I will get thousands of errors because we still haven't created all of the stuff which is Propfirm related in our MQ4 file. So let's start on that. I'll compile and I will have a lot of errors, which is funny. Because we are still not calling anything from the Propfirm panel, and this is why we don't have any errors so far. Also, I think because up here now we need to reference to the prop file. So I'm going to say include, and within the include folder it is Propfirm panel file, which is this one. So I'm referencing to it now, and within that I'm going to reference to C Propfirm panel class, and I'm referencing it to a variable by the name of panel. Now if I compile, I should have a lot of errors. And that is because all of these variables which this Propfirm panel is trying to use in the update function, all of these variables are not really defined anywhere. So let's go back to the MQ4 file, the actual EA, and let's start adding these variables. So these variables we created in MetaTrader 5, and now we can copy paste them into MetaTrader 4 as well. I don't need this integer system choice because we are using the system type directly, or if we are not, then we're going to get an error. But I'm deleting it for now, and if I get the error, then I'm going to solve it later. And then from MetaTrader 5 file, at the end we had this input group where we had all of the Propfirm rules, settings, variables. So I'm going to copy them and at the bottom here I'm going to add all of them. Then on the initialization function we had the panel initialization. So let's copy that, and I'll come down here, and after the chart set integer I'm going to copy paste, or I'm going to paste the panel initialization. Then you would remember in the Propfirm MetaTrader 5 variation we got rid of all of the shebang about these profiles as crypto, gold and indices, because they're practically the same profile. It's all percentage as a percentage of price. So why not combine all of these? So what I did in MetaTrader 5, and I'll do it here as well, which is I got rid of all of these profiles and we replaced it with one profile which is as a percentage of profile input. And we don't need this. So I'm going to take this and then copy paste to MetaTrader 4. So now we have two profiles, the Forex profile and the percentage profile, exactly the same way as we have it here. The other thing was we had added an order distance point input here as well, and an order distance point variable here. So I'm going to copy this and paste this here, and then all of these variables I'm going to paste them below as well in MetaTrader 4. Okay, if I compile now, I have 20 errors left because it is still looking for all of the gold and indices and shebang like this and system choices that we need to change. So first of all, this TP point, trigger point, this and order distance point, this is already defined somewhere else. So let's take a look, and it is defined here. So I'm going to remove them from here. So they're only defined here. If you see, these are exactly the same variables, but I just moved them from here down to here and added the order distance points as well, because these are all related to Forex trading input. So I'm going to combine them here. If I compile again, I have 16 errors to fight with. And the first one is order distance point variable is already defined. Where is that one defined? See previous declaration, and it is defined here. So this, we put this here as order distance point input in the Forex, so we can't have it double. So let's move this down here, and if I compile now, I don't have that, and now I have the system choice issue, because here on initialization what we were doing was if you select Forex or Bitcoin or gold or US indices, then we have system choices, so we assign it to a variable. But now we have gotten rid of all of that shebang, so I'm just simply gonna delete this. Then we go back to MetaTrader 5, and instead of these, we're gonna switch through the cases of what system type has the user selected. So we say, we select this, and then we paste it here, which is switch to the system type. What has the user selected here as system type, which is either he has selected And we need to change this as well because it's still the old stuff. So I'm going to go back to MetaTrader 5 and system type, enum system type is this one now. So fixed pips profile or percentage of price profile. So I select that, back to MetaTrader 4 and paste it here. So now we have these two types instead of the previous ones where we had 4 different profiles. So now user can select here as enum system type, the type, whether it's fixed or percentage of price. And depending on whether it's fixed or percentage of price, we're going to loop through. If it's case 0, it's fixed pips. In that case, TP points become normal input by the user. And in case if it is as a percentage, then we need to calculate it. And we calculate it based on ask. And in MetaTrader 4, you don't get the value of ask by using the symbol info double method. You basically simply get it as calling the function, calling the variable ask. Then we don't need this because we have already assigned these here. So I'm going to delete them. And then if I go back to MetaTrader, we wrote all of these codes for Propfirm functions. I'm going to copy them and I'm going to paste them here as well, which are all fine. No need for any changes because of MetaTrader 4. And these ones as well, we can just simply copy paste them from MetaTrader 5 into MetaTrader 4. No need for any conversion because it works exactly the same way in MetaTrader 4 as well. Then these functions we already replaced, the RSI and moving average. And these 2 trailing type ones are the ones that we're going to have to write later. So I'm going to leave them for now. And then we created the panel up here. And on deinitialization, we're going to destroy the panel. So in MetaTrader 4 as well, I will do exactly the same thing, which is destroy the panel later. Then here, one of the things which I changed was I moved the is new bar to after trailing the stop loss, because I don't want to do all of this. I don't want to run all of these codes on every tick. I only want to run them on every new candle, except for the trailing stop, which should be run on every tick. So I'm going to move this here. Then in MetaTrader 5, we had on the on tick function before the is new, before checking for all these filters, we added these 4 functions, which is initialization, update the initial balances, update the Propfirm values, update the panel, and is trading allowed Propfirm values. These 4 functions which we are going to create now. So let's go down to the bottom, and this is where we're going to create those 4 functions. If I come back to MetaTrader 5, I can just simply copy paste these 4 functions, which is after the is trading allowed. All of the functions that we wrote for MetaTrader 5, I can just simply copy paste them here. And now if I compile, I have these 11 errors left. So the first one is system choice, because here on tick, we're still going through the system choices, which we don't need to anymore because we have already put the system choices by looping through the system type, whether it's fixed pips or as a percentage of price already here on initialization. So now we don't need to do that again. So all of these codes, I'll just simply delete them. Compile again, and voila, I don't have any errors. I think when we will run the test, we will see if there are some errors still, which we need to figure out, because not having an error here means that there are no syntax errors, but there can still be logical errors. Because for example, one of the things is we also had the is trading allowed by Propfirm values. We created this function to check, but we didn't update it up here. We didn't use it anywhere. We have to use that up here. So I'll go back to MetaTrader 5 And here you can see is RSI filter, news filter, MA filter, trading allowed filter as a not. And then I need to add this as a not again is trading allowed Propfirm values as well. So this is another condition that we're going to check for, which is if the value returned from is Propfirm function we have just created, if it is false, meaning that the trading is not allowed because of the Propfirm values, then in that case close all the orders and do all of these things. Now one more thing which we will add here is that if the profit all-time percentage is greater than the profit target, which is the profit target, we are asking the user to define what the profit target is. If it's 10%, then as soon as the overall profit becomes greater than this 10%, then set the chart to green. So we know that the target has been achieved. And if you go down to the bottom, what you will see here is that if it is bigger than profit target, the trading comment is, hooray, the target has been achieved. So coming back up here, where we're checking the values, if any of that returns as false, meaning the trading is disabled, then the color is going to change to purple. But then only in case if the profit overall has exceeded the target profit, then we change it to green. So you're going to get a green screen if the profit target has been achieved. I'm going to compile it again, and we don't have any errors. So there seems to be no syntax error, but we need to run some tests to see whether or not the EA is working as we intended it to work. And if it is not, then we need to come back and see where it went wrong. But before we start doing that, in the Propfirm, we also added for trailing stop a lot of other functions as well. We created a separate section for trailing stop management, which is you need to select which trailing type it is based on a drop down which is going to come from what is the type, which is the default, which is the aggressive one, or on previous candle, or on fast moving average, or on Tenkan-sen. So I'm going to take this enum, go back and paste this enum here as well. Then I'm going to come down here and take this entire input section below the percentage of price profile and paste it in the same place here. So we are asking what is the trail type, and in case if the user selects previous candle or the fast moving average, then he needs to say, okay, well, how many candles to trail it on? And in case of fast moving average trailing, what is the fast moving average period? So that is 5. In case of Tenkan-sen line, we know it's a Tenkan-sen line, so we don't need to ask the user for anything. And then we go to the trailing stop loss function. Now this function is going to become very complicated because now we need to add many different types of trailing stop losses depending on which one the user has selected. So I'm going to try and go one by one. If I compare it, so if I put this side by side, this is my MetaTrader 4, this is my MetaTrader 5. And I go to the trailing stop loss. Now we can see we started with stop loss equals 0, TP equals 0, fine. We don't need to get the ask price, but we do need to get the stop levels here because that's what we're going to check on the initialization, that what is the minimum stop loss distance allowed by your broker between the stop level, between where you're putting the stop loss and the price. We don't need the indicator buffer because we're going to use because MetaTrader 4 uses the indicators directly and not going through a buffer mechanism. Then we have this line is corresponding to this line. Then we have selection, which is fine here. Then we have the magic number and the symbol that we get here. Then we have the then we have the position type, which we are getting here. Then we say if bid is bigger than this, to trigger stop loss, which is this line. Then we get the TP, but you remember in MetaTrader 4, you can use the order take profit as a command, so we don't really need this line. And then comes the part which is if position info is bigger than this, then in that case set this. So this is what we need to add now. So we're gonna take these lines, and from here I'm starting and I'm going all the way down to where the switching is finishing, and then also these two. So all the way down to here, which is within this if function. You see this one, which is where we're getting whether it's bigger than the trigger stop loss. So it's bigger than this, and below that we need these functions. So I'm going to copy them, and then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to paste this here, and I'm going to indent it so that we can see more clearly. So within the function of trigger stop loss point, we're copying this entire section, which is if the stop loss is less than the open price, because we're in the buy, that means that it's the initial stop loss, in which case we aggressively trail it as soon as we are in profit. But then if that is not the case, then in that case we switch through the trailing type, which is 0 equals aggressive, 1 equals on previous candle, 2 equals on moving average, and 3 equals on Tenkan-sen. So we have these, and then depending on what is the SL that comes out of here, then we go, if SL is bigger than the current stop loss, then modify the stop loss. So now we have copied this logic, but now we need to change the way that the logic is written, because MetaTrader 4 has a different language. So now position info is stop loss is order stop loss, and open price is called order open price. Then bid is with a capital, and the way to modify the trade in MetaTrader 4 is through order modify function, sending it the order ticket number, order open price, the new SL, then order take profit, no change in the expiration, and color none because we don't want to see the arrow. And then we continue, meaning exit this small snippet of the function and move to the next. And then through the switch trail type, again this is going to be bid, the rest is fine. So in case the user has selected aggressive trailing type, then SL is just going to be bid minus the TSL. So we are continuing to aggressively trail the stop loss at a distance of whatever the user has defined in the trailing stop loss points. Then in case it's 1, which is the user wants to trail it on the low of the last candle, it remains the same, no change is required. So on the previous candle using the ILO function. And then when we come to the moving average, we cannot use the copy buffer function because that is particular to MetaTrader 5. So we delete this part, and then the stop loss is just going to be whatever is the moving average by getting the moving average value through the IMA function, providing the symbol value, time frame, a fast moving average period that the user has defined, the MA mode, the MA applied price which the user has selected, and then providing a shift of 0, so it's basically the current candle. And then the same is true for Tenkan-sen line, so we delete the copy buffer way, and we set the value of the stop loss by using the Ichimoku function, providing the symbol, time frame, the default settings of the Ichimoku cloud, and then saying get the mode Tenkan-sen, so get the Tenkan-sen line for the shift 0, so on the current candle, and then break. So what will happen is that when the EA is going through, once the bid has gone above the trigger of the stop loss point, then the first thing it will do is it will set the stop loss to break even or at the TSL points. Once it has moved to break even, that's when we start looking at case 0, 1, 2, and 3. And depending on which case the user has selected for the method of the stop loss trailing, we assign the stop loss value, and then we go that if SL is bigger than the profit info stop loss, and now we change this to order stop loss in MT4 language, and that the stop loss is bigger than the open price. So order open price, and stop loss is smaller than the bid, meaning that it's still below the bid, so it is a valid stop loss. In that case, we will modify the position again. So I can copy the modification function from here and paste it here, which is modify the order by sending the order ticket number, open price, stop loss, take profit, no change to the expiration, and color none, and then continue. So this is how we will go through 4 different methods of trailing the stop loss based on what the user has selected. And then we go on to the next part, which is else if the order type is OP sell, then once we have checked that the trigger stop loss point, once we have checked that the trade has moved in profit more than the trigger stop loss point, by checking if the ask plus trigger stop loss point is lower than the open price, that's when we will do exactly the same thing as we did in the function before. So I'm copying the entire thing up until here. So within the trailing stop loss trigger portion of the if, I'm copying the entire thing and I'm coming back here and if, and within this if function, everything that is within this if function, I'm going to delete it and then replace it with what we have just copied. And I'm going to indent it so we can read it more easily. And again, the same thing. So stop loss becomes order stop loss, position info price open becomes order open price, ask becomes ask with a capital. This is fine. And then again, we modify the trade by using the MetaTrader 4 method. So order modify, sending it all of the information. This is where we bring the stop loss to break even. And then once it is break even, then we switch through the trailing type. Once again, this is fine. This is also fine. Now it's on a high instead of I low because it's a sell trade. So we are trailing the stop loss on the high of the previous candles. We cannot use the copy buffer. So I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to paste the IMA value. I can actually copy it from here as well. And then come below and paste it. We are now changing the stop loss to fast moving average once it is above break even, in case the user has selected that method. And then once again, we need to delete this part and we can copy the Ichimoku function from above as well. So in case the user has selected Ichimoku, then we are assigning the stop loss to whatever is the Tenkan Sen of the Ichimoku. And then again, we check that if the stop loss or that if the new stop loss is smaller now than whatever is the stop loss currently on this position, because we only want to trail the stop loss downwards, and the stop loss is not equal to 0 because that means that the calculations have gone wrong, and that the stop loss is below the open price because we only want to trail it when we are in profit, and that the stop loss is bigger than ask, so changing it to capital A. Then again, we modify the position. I can copy it from here and then just paste it here. I'll make it bigger again. And I'll show you the function from top to the bottom once, so that if you want to actually type it, you can. So this is the first page. This is the second page. And this is the end of the function. So if I compile now, I have one error, which is somewhere the ask is still without the capital. So I'm going to double click on it. And here I forgot to change it to a capital ask. So if I compile it now, we don't have any error. And this brings us to the end of the entire modification. Remember to have this reference exactly to where this file is saved. And once you have made this reference, now you cannot compile it from here anymore. You need to compile everything from the MT4 file. So this is it. I'll apply the EA once. I'll open up the EURUSD chart, because you cannot apply it to a visual chart. The one that says visual, you cannot apply to it because that's coming out of a back test. So you need to open a fresh chart. And then if I apply the EA, these are all of the inputs. Now, one thing you will notice in MetaTrader 4, you don't have the sections anymore. So these are the benefits of using MetaTrader 5, but all of the variables are here now. Please do remember to put this initial balance to whatever you are putting in your testing or whatever is the balance of your account, and then set the profit target correctly as well. So if I click OK, here is my panel, and once the candle is going to change, the values here are also going to appear. So let's run a back test. So let's run a few tests in MetaTrader 4 just to see that our codes are working properly. So I have loaded the Propfirm Scalping EA from the YouTube shared folder where we saved it. I'm going to run it on gold from 1st of June last year until today. If I go to properties, and this is where MetaTrader 4 looks horrible because you don't have the sections anymore. One thing we can do is here instead of using the input group, what we could potentially do is we say input is string and call it a variable by the same name as this. And then if I compile, and I need to put a colon here, and then if I compile, now this should appear as trading profile into a bit of a separator here. So if I go back here, all of a sudden I see trading profiles and then with this dash dash dash. So this is one way to do it. It doesn't look as neat as it looks in MetaTrader 5. But if this is the best we can have, then that's the best we can have. Let's put a lot of dashes, and then I'm going to do this here as a string, common inputs equals, and then put a lot of dashes. And then the next one is input again as a string. Let's call it forex inputs equals. Let's make it more prominent. Same for this, the string, call it percentage profile equals. I'm making this prominent through the dashes. Then the string trailing stop equals. And the news filter we can just simply delete, or I'll put asterisk no and asterisk backslash to make it not available, and then a string again as RSI filter. And then string Propfirm or prop rules settings equals. So this is where we can somehow all these errors because we needed a colon after all of them because these are now variables definition. Colon. I think it should be okay now. Yeah, and now it is okay. So if I go back to MetaTrader, and now if we go to expert properties, at least we have some semblance of sections. So it is not as chaotic as it used to be. Okay, so I'm gonna choose the percentage of price profile because it's gold. I'm using the percentage of balance to start with 2%. I'm gonna go with bars number 10 because I want to see some trades. If I put 100, then there will be very few trades. This is fine, this is fine. Starting with default trail, and then RSI and moving every filter as false. Trading allowed on every day, and then 10,000 because my initial deposit here in the tester is 10,000, so I need to put 10,000 here as well and have the same date as the tester. So this is fine. Let's run it visually so we can see. So here the first trade is placed. If I go here, I see that the stop loss is about $10 and $10 TP, which makes sense because we put as 0.4% of the price. So if you do the calculation, it should be around $9-10. So the trade is placed correctly. There is a sell trade as well, so we can pause and go and check what the sell trade is. And I think one of them is already triggered, but the sell stop was also with this price about $10 stop loss and about $10 TP, which sounds about right for 0.4% of the price. Then we had a buy here and it started trailing very aggressively. I can see that here. And then let's also see if the aggressive trailing also happens for a sell trade. Yeah, here as well. So I can pause it. And here we had the sell trade, which aggressively was trailed and closed down here. Same here. And I think here as well. Now, one thing which we need to see still is a loss trade. And if we go to the graph, so far we have only wins. So I'm waiting for a loss trade. And this one was a stop loss hit. So if I go back, I should see a loss trade as well now at the bottom. Down, down, down. Yeah, here is the loss trade. And it is about 2% of the balance. So the calculation of the lot size is also working correctly. So I'll go back, I'll stop this test. Now the next thing I'm gonna check is changing it from percentage of balance to fixed loss to see that we should get 0.01. And at the same time, I'm also gonna check for the RSI filter. So we turn this to true. I'm gonna change this to 5 minutes so we can see it on the screen, and I'm gonna change it to 40 and 60 so we don't have to wait a lot. As soon as it is 40 and 60, we get the pink chart. So if I start now, yeah, I'm getting the pink very, very quickly, and I'm getting some trades as well in between, and the value is 0.01. And the pink basically means that it is changing to that the trading is being disabled, and we should be getting this error of trading is disabled because the RSI is below 40, above 60. So RSI portion is working as well. And I'll quickly check. I'll turn this off and then turn the moving average filter as true. And once again on 5 minutes, and I'll change this to only 0.5 or even 0.3, just to quickly check that once the price has moved above the moving average by more than 0.3%, that we get a pink screen and a disabled journal. Yeah, so we are getting that as well. So prices as a percentage of MA is outside of our range, and this is why it's turning it off. So I'll stop the test. We go again to experts. I'll turn this to false as well. And then the last thing I want to check is, let's say on a Tuesday, the trading is not allowed. So let's start. So on Tuesday, it should become pink as well. So today is whatever day, trading is allowed. And I think now it's Tuesday, so it's pink. And then when it comes Wednesday, it should start trading again. So on Tuesday, it was disabled. And then back again on Wednesday, it starts trading again. So that portion is working as well. So this is it for our testing. Do your own thorough testing of the stuff as well. And then in case there are any errors, do send a comment and I will update it into the comment section in a pinned comment if there are any modifications that need to be made. So until next time, guys, stay safe and trade safe.